everyone. Today I wanted to try something different. I wanted to try painting and talking while I do it, so we'll see how this goes. I just thought maybe I could do a better job of explaining some of the techniques that I'm doing, so it'll be kind of like a talk and paint. It's a really good day for it. Here in Wisconsin it's snowing. We've gotten like 5 inches, which is not okay for April. I can handle it in March, too much for April. So to start off, I'm using my watercolor paper texture. This is not by any means the best one out there, but it is free. There's a link in the description that you can download. I've got a few layers here that I group into this paper texture, and then my working painting layers here, which are all set to multiply. This allows the colors to behave and blend more like true watercolor. For my brushes, I'm going to be using Adam's Light Start and Heavy Start. These are 2 of my favorite brushes of all time. He has them available for free download, so highly recommend that you get them, even if you don't follow anything else in this tutorial. And then Abby from Uproot has these amazing watercolor brush collections, and from hers I've kind of tweaked a couple. I have this watercolor hard edge brush that I really love. It responds super well to pressure, thick and thin, so I primarily use that to get the hard edge to make it truly look like watercolor that's dried hard on the outside. And then the other brushes from her that I'm using is this wet bleed brush. It is a brush that I've tweaked from her, I believe, water flood smudge tool, just to make it, more of like a messy, true wash bleed situation here. Don't know how to describe it, but those are the brushes that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. So I'm going to start off with the Heavy Start, and just on a layer, I'm going to switch my opacity to around 3/4 of the way, and then keeping my size pretty big. This is a brush. You'll want to test and play with these brushes and kind of see how they feel. This one is Heavy Start, so it's going to be more opaque at the very start of the brush, and then as you add pressure, you can see it's kind of disappearing. And so definitely get a feel for these brushes after you download them, and just get to know what you like about them, how you prefer your settings to be adjusted. So if you've painted your leaves here, and you can add a stem, this is up to your own interpretation. From here, I'm going to duplicate it. I think I want it a little bit darker, so I'm going to duplicate it once, so 2 layers, and then pinch them to merge. And then I'm going to duplicate it again and begin making my mask. So if you're happy with the opacity and the darkness or lightness, you can skip that first step. But from here, you're going to take your second layer and change it from multiply to normal, and select a true white. And then here, you're going to hit alpha lock, and then fill layer. And this gives you, let me show you, just a totally white version of your layer. And now this is somewhat transparent. We want to make a full mask, so I'm going to duplicate this a few times, pinch it together, and duplicate a few more times. So that kind of gives you an example of how the paper texture changes it and helps make it look more like watercolor. You hit select on your mask layer, but then you want to make sure that you click to your color layer. I've made this mistake so many times, but you want to make sure that you only want to use the white layer to get the full selection of your painting, and then move back to your color layer to actually change, smudge, go over the ink, all of that. Right, so I'm going to use the wet bleed brush and the smudge tool. And this is all so freeform and messy. Once you've kind of blended everything to your own satisfaction, I go back and select the same blue that I was using. And now I'm going to go in with the wet bleed brush again. So while it's still selected and you're still on the color layer, I'm going to go in with the watercolor edge brush. And you can use other brushes for this. This is just my preferred. Like I said, I tweaked it a bit to really give it some good highs and lows. Change the size way down, but change the opacity up. So just to give you an example, again, of what that looks like. If I press hard, it gets big, but it's fuzzy on this end and sharp on this end. All right, so I'm just going to lightly trace around the outside edges. But the other way that I really like to try to get a realistic edge and more of a realistic look is to actually go in with this edger on the leaf itself and kind of create some flooding and bleeding here. And this is where the thick and thin I find really plays well. Okay, so I think I'm gonna get rid of the mask and duplicate this guy a few times and overlay them. Voila. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them below. I'll try to be as helpful as possible. And hit like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much.